Deep in the heart of northern Victoria, Lindsay Park, a name synonymous with Australian racing success, lives on. And so does the Hayes training dynasty. This is horse heaven. Rolling green valleys, lush organic pastures, a mild climate and state-of-the-art facilities stamp Lindsay Park Euroa as Australia's premier thoroughbred facility. History is still to be written here, as it was at Lindsay Park, Angaston, where it all began. Colin Hayes was a visionary, a champion horse trainer, and most of all, a teacher. His sons were good students. First there was Peter, then David. In between, there was Tony McAvoy. Years after his passing, Colin Hayes' influence remains massive. David Hayes is blazing his own trail, but his father's imprint is clear to see. Colin Hayes took an enormous risk in 1965, uprooting from the comfort of suburban Semaphore in Adelaide to the distant hills of Angaston in the Barossa Valley. There were plenty of doubters.
When Dad made that bold move from the city to the country, a lot of his clients left him, and a lot thought and said to him that he would never win a premiership from the country. Gee, he proved them wrong, didn't he?
By the time Colin retired, after a magnificent 47-year career, he had trained 5,333 winners, more than 500 of them at group or listed level, including winners in 2 Melbourne Cups, 3 Cox Plates, and 4 Victoria Derbies. He was not only a pioneer, but a man whose foundation stone remains. After almost half a century of creating equine nirvana in South Australia, Colin's legacy continues to grow.
I think the key component, the point of difference, was 1, training in the country environment, 2, training in the hills like they do in England, and he was able to get more runners to the track because he had more horses sound.
Not only have his sons Peter and David followed successfully in legendary footsteps, but Colin's penchant for anticipating what others cannot see endures. Colin Hayes met His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum in 1985.
Colin Hayes wins his second cup.
Hayes was in the twilight of a magnificent career. Before retiring in July 1990, he had won the Melbourne Cup Cox Plate double, as well as countless Group 1 races for Sheikh Hamdan. The future had been assured for Colin's successor. It was in 1990 when Colin the Patriarch handed the reins to David, the protege. Success came with a rush in an unforgettable spring carnival.
I remember when Zabil won the Craigley, now Maccabediva Stakes. I was so excited to win a weight for age race. Then the next week, Better Loosen Up won the Thean, and then it was the Turnbull the week after that, and then of course there was the Cox Plate.
Better Loosen Up goes home best. David Hayes first up wins it.
A week later, there were 6 winners on Derby Day.
And on the outside, Planet Ruler finishing very strongly. Planet Ruler's grabbing them. It'll be 4 for Hayes and Clark. Planet Ruler. Planet Ruler's won the Gadsden from Rodelva.
A few weeks later, we were jetting off to Japan. It was a dream start.
It's Better Loosen Up in the middle, is coming with a magnificent run. Kakawithi's Better Loosen Up and Ode. Better Loosen Up in the middle's put his in front. Better Loosen Up has won for Australia. Better Loosen Up has won the Japan Cup from either Ode or Kakawithi's. We've done it, we've taken the Japan Cup with Better Loosen Up.
After Japan, it even got better, winning the greatest race of all, the Melbourne Cup for Sheikh Hamdan.
And Jern's going to win the Melbourne Cup by 2 lengths to Paris Lane.
The tranquility of Lindsay Park could not be further removed from David's highly successful foray into Hong Kong, where he excelled for 10 years.
All Thrills 2 is coming through again. Falbelon's running hard. All Thrills 2 gets the run and goes to the front. Hong Kong Roar. Falbelon for the Aussies coming through. All Thrills 2 fly above with Falbelon. Thunder staying on. All Thrills 2. Hazy wins the international.
David's decision to uproot from Angaston showed just how daring he could be, embracing his father's pioneering spirit and taking it to another level.
a few main reasons for going to Hong Kong. One was to compete on the international stage and to be competitive away from Lindsay Park and my father. There was always the undercurrent that, of course, Colin's training them, and I thought that he can't be training him if I'm in Hong Kong and he's at Lindsay Park. I wanted to compete internationally because I think any sportsman that gets the opportunity to travel internationally, you should do it. And then thirdly, of course, it was the money. The money at that time, the Hong Kong racing economy was the #1 in the world. And if you could get in the top 5 in Hong Kong there, with the low tax rate and the stake money earned, and you could do extremely well, which I was lucky enough to be in the top 5 every year I was there, and won the premiership a couple of times and was runner-up 4 times. So it was a great chapter in my life.
When David Hayes returned from Hong Kong, he presided over an amazing 5 seasons of unparalleled success.
And here's Nadine that's going to swamp them and beat them. Nadine with a storming run over the top of them has got the Blue Diamond one from Miss Finland, and Nadine has won brilliantly.
Miss Finland in front, she's out by 2 at the 100 metres from Tuesday Joy and Amato, and Miss Finland, the champion filly, scores by 2.5 lengths to Tuesday Joy.
Wanted is running on, Shell's Great making ground, Newport on the far side. Wanted is raced up at the 200, here's Star Spangled Banner coming at him. Headway Nakoni coming home, Wanted the leader with about 50 to go. Nakoni flashing home, Nakoni grabbing Wanted, and Nakoni got up to win.
While Euroa was still taking shape, it played a pivotal role in the breaking in, educating and remedial training of David's team. Lindsay Park Euroa already has plenty of gold. Season 2006 and 2007 was a stellar year for David Hayes and Lindsay Park, with a staggering $19 million in prize money, a national record, collected from 11 Group 1 races in 4 states.
Torquay coming from a long way back, and activation out wide, centre fight at the centre, Ecuador in front, Torquay gets a late split, Torquay grabs the lead, Torquay wins the Caulfield Cup.
Fields of Omar, 9 years of age, out wide, runs on, Pompey Roller in front, El Segundo, and on the outside, Fields of Omar with Ecuador, El Segundo, Fields of Omar, the 9-year-old, drives, they hit it.
What a finish, what a race. Number 2 has created history. Fields of Omar, at 9 years of age, has won the Cox Plate.
Coveted trophies of the season's Caulfield Cup and Cox Plate sat alongside Miss Finland's 4 Group 1 wins through Sydney and Melbourne, along with Sleek Chassis's win in the Blue Diamond Stakes, continuing Hayes' dominance of Victoria's 2-year-old classic. The crowning glory came for David in 2008 with his induction into the Australian Racing Hall of Fame, where he joined his father in illustrious company.
I was very humbled and once again very proud to follow in my dad's footsteps all my life, and then to be acknowledged in one of the best accolades in racing you can have. Humbled and proud. Of all my championships, it's probably the greatest. It's just nice to be D.A. Hayes, Hall of Fame trainer.
Almost 3,000 winners, 18 trainers' premierships, and close to 80 Group 1 victories later, David Hayes is rebuilding, literally. The Hayes family motto, "The future belongs to those who plan for it," is clearly in evidence at Euroa. This slice of horse paradise has echoes of Lindsay Park, Angaston, where David and his brother Peter were tutored by the master. Lindsay Park Euro owes much to its older cousin in South Australia. Uphill training tracks, all-weather surfaces, an on-site veterinary clinic, farrier's shop, water walkers, protective fencing, and a sense of tranquility. This is cutting-edge Australia, with a large dose of Old England thrown in. The dimension of this property is breathtaking. But while much is introduced, it's overwhelmingly native. The 1,200-acre property features 76 stables, 36 walk-in, walk-out yards are strategically located close to the center of the training hub. Laid out throughout the complex are 32 spacious irrigated day paddocks. Features of the hub include large horse walkers, high-speed treadmills for conditioning, the aqua trainer is used extensively in pre-training and aids in post-race and post-gallop recovery and allows horses to be freshened up without them losing fitness. There are deep sand rolls and the farrier shop. On-site veterinary services allow for monitoring the condition of horses and assists in the management of ailments and injuries.
After a scope and a flush out.
Typically 3 months.
All of this managed by highly dedicated staff. Among the diversity of tracks is the 1,330-metre uphill pro ride track. There is also a 1,250-metre sand track. And a 1,950-metre pro ride track which is used for fast gallops and trials, regardless of weather. The jewel in the crown is a 2,000-metre turf track with chutes and starting barriers to allow horses to race and trial in both clockwise and anti-clockwise directions. Complementing the facilities on offer is the ability to school horses on the hurdle track. As well as the obvious benefit of preparing horses for jumps racing, it adds variety to the training program for horses racing on the flat. David Hayes watches track work from the observation hut, which is equipped with an electronic timing system and fibre optic cables to allow the recording of gallops. There is a hospital quarantine area with stables, undercover yards and examination space, and a main office block with client and staff canteen. This place is not just about man-made innovation. It is about creating the complete environment.
We're organically farming and they're getting worm juiced and topped regularly. And I think if you look around you can see the difference in the pastures compared to the pastures that haven't been done. They're bright green, and the greener the pasture, the better it is for the horse. With the 40 irrigated paddocks, we had to make it drought-proof, and we've got 2 magnificent big dams here, and I think it'd take a nasty drought for us to empty them.
Euroa's location and its 5 training tracks means Lindsay Park will become a home to the complete horse, with access to not only Melbourne, but also to Sydney and Adelaide.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure to be able to have the option to work both sides. It gives the horse variety, and I think it makes them a much more all-rounded horse. It gives me the option to drive out the drive, turn right to Sydney or left to Melbourne. We work the horses in an English string regularly. We find it helps the horses that tend to pull to relax more.
This place is more than merely a glorious training centre. It is an end to a means. It will eventually belong to the next Hayes generation.
They're all very gifted riders, and every chance they get, they spend time in the stable. The eldest son, Ben, who's 21, is doing a business degree, but for pocket money, he works in the stable 5 days a week in the mornings. And the twins, they're in the stable all the time.
Like Colin Hayes, David understands that to teach brings with it the need to show. The head trainer remains impressively hands-on.
This girl,
History has already put its stamp here. The champions of decades past are honoured over barn doors and on fencing rails, creating both a reminder of the lofty heights achieved and a challenge to those of the next generation. That challenge applies as much to horse as human. For David Hayes, the most pressing goal is twofold. Lindsay Park is not just about this generation, but the next.
All the boys at this stage are very keen on the business, and they think they would like to train one day, which really excites me. And that gave me the confidence to come here and spend all the money on this property, try and make a cutting-edge facility, and hopefully that'll give the boys an edge that Dad was able to give to me in Lindsay Park.
Its ultimate reason for existing is equine excellence and the business of producing high-class winners.
My dream for the next 5 years would to hopefully have a stable that is known to have the best horses in Australia again. But the way we're going towards it is training a lot of winners again, and then hopefully the big winners will come.